Good afternoon and welcome to Titan Talk. Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. Yeah, you saw that?
It was on me first.
I forgot.
My head's shaped such like an egg.
Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you guys. Today we're doing Expect the Unexpected, which is the first thing that popped up was McFarland. So you have today me,
Yay.
Captain Coop, and our wonderful The Talent, Mr. McFarland.
Hello, how we doing?
So,
I'm still getting used to being on the other side.
yeah, I don't like it. Brian says it's better, so we do it.
I mean, now that I think about it, the other podcasts do.
Yeah,
It's not like
it's always back
panel.
and forth.
Yeah, like Rogan's the one I think of, which I don't watch enough. I should watch that more.
You know,
He's
it's
always
funny.
got really
We
cool
were
people on.
Me and Brian were talking when we do our little setups for the podcast and everything. We were talking about other podcasts and podcasts to watch and to learn from and things like that. And we both actually brought up Rogan's.
Well, yeah, he's like the number one podcast in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I was.
I wanted to mimic some of the stuff he does, but we just don't have one. We don't have the space. Two, we don't have some of the funding. But
yeah,
it's a little harder for us to do something similar to what he does. But I kind of that was my thought. It was like kind of branch it off like Joe does, and he has it set like this where
there's like
opposite
4 or 5 people there. Though.
Yeah.
Like producers and guys that do all that. You kind of run the job of a few different people.
I try. I don't always succeed.
Well, it's a great intro to me staring at my phone. It's a good start. But yeah, so today is Expect the Unexpected. I use sports analogies all the time, but this job's really the best way to put it. It's like baseball. You're always thinking of, if the ball comes to me, where do I go? There's a guy on first and second, it's different than if the bases are loaded or if there's nobody on base. And so just always be assessing your surroundings, and I think that's a good start. Again, you can't...
You can prepare for everything you want, but there's always going to be something that catches you off guard. A big thing that I used to do was mud race or off-road racing, and where I come from, did a few of those. And you'd have parts and spare parts for just about everything. And I remember having an extra drive shaft and some other things, and then I blew a dang universal joint, and it was one of the few parts that I didn't have with me, and so that was the end of my race. And so it was the unexpected piece that went out that I was like, no, this is really good. I've got this piece here; it'll be fine, and I won't have to worry about it. And that was the one of the pieces that broke, along with a couple of brakes and some things that went on.
Oh, yeah.
One of the brake pads caught on fire. It was hilarious. But expect the unexpected. You're always going to run across the normal day-to-day stuff that you get, and it's always the unexpected that's going to catch you off guard. And when it's going to catch you the most is when you're not paying attention. When you're chatting somebody up or you're looking down at your phone or whatever the case may be.
Like I am right now.
Well, yours is different.
Yeah.
But that's when that stuff.
Room.
That's when that stuff happens. Is you're not paying attention, and so something pops up, and bam! Now you're unexpected. You're off guard or off balance, whatever the case may be. And so you want to make sure that you try to do that stuff as little as possible, so you're paying as much attention. So there's less chance it's going to catch you off guard.
Yeah. I don't know if I could say the word statistics behind it.
No,
but I've heard that a lot of officer injuries are typically, not all of them, just some of them, I want to say more than not, it happens when they're interacting with somebody they've previously been
well, it's like vehicle accidents.
Worked with.
It's like vehicle accidents. They say your most likely time to get into a vehicle accident is within 3 miles within the house, within your home.
It's funny
because you're comfortable.
My grandma actually was in like 3 years ago when I was growing, like over a span of years, but all were within like a couple miles from being home. She just had really bad luck, or was just a bad driver, one of the two.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, it's usually like a homeless individual that they've dealt with before, or someone they've dealt with before that they know. So there's a little bit of letting your guard down when you're dealing with somebody you're familiar with, and just the wrong batch of drugs or the wrong day, and it can go bad. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I said, you're just always trying to prepare or be self-aware, understand your surroundings. Part of that, I'm just like that anyway, and I've probably said this 100 times on this podcast in the past. There's just certain things that I do, that people do, that are in this industry out of habit, and that's kind of why I went this direction.
Right.
Because you just can't turn it off. Sometimes it's a curse because you want to just relax. But like when I went on my vacation to Mexico, we were out of the country, and I was kind of the elder of the group of people we went with.
That's
And
terrifying.
so I had to kind of not go as crazy as someone would want to on a vacation
Right.
that's, at a resort that's all inclusive. And so I kind of had to dial it back. And it was
It's one of those ones you're used to at work. You're used to paying attention, and even though you've left that area, you're not in the work mode anymore. Even
Right.
in your personal life, you're still looking for the unexpected. You're still looking at the exits. You're still looking at everybody walking by. And
Yeah.
you're still you.
Yeah.
And you've still learned from those experiences, and you've taken that and you've gone with it. And so those are always going to be little things
Yep.
that you've taken forever, and they'll modify your.
Well,
your habits.
exactly. It's at work and not at work. Like, I'm sure people that were at the parade, that experienced what went down, are probably going to handle themselves differently when they're in big groups of people.
Yeah.
Some people may not even be able to handle being in crowds anymore. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that comes into play. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for us on the job is kind of know your surroundings, know your which is all going to be taught to you in your FTOs, but know your jurisdiction limits and where you can and can't be, and that going through those steps will kind of check boxes off that need to be checked naturally.
Yeah.
So when you go through that, do that when patrol guys are the ones that are going to be a little different, and that's why those guys have more training and usually more experience, because it's a little more fly by the seat of your pants, when you're dealing with interactions with people, and you just never know what's going to come your way. And I think I said this the last 5 times on the podcast. You can never train too hard or too much for a job that can kill you. You know, and it's kind of cheesy, but it's true.
It's true. One of the things that you got to remember is doing what we do for a living, even though, for security, law enforcement, first responders, you run across, we always say that we're here for the 1% of the population that either doesn't want the rules to apply to them, or it's that part of that 1%, or someone who's forgetting the rules, neglecting the rules, whatever you want to say. And when you're in this industry for a long period of time, that 1% shows itself more often than 1%. And so every day you take that chance of running into that 1%, and the more training you have, or the more that you're paying attention and you can, avert the risk of that, the better you become.
Yeah.
Because now you're paying attention that the unexpected doesn't happen as much because
Right.
you're paying attention. You're expecting it.
Sure.
And you've done what you can on your side to prepare for it.
Yep, I agree. Let's see.
Would you sit up?
Sorry, this week has killed me. Range took it out of me this week. Normally,
Range takes it out of everybody, though.
yeah, but this one was. We had a big class.
I love
and
story time. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Roses.
We had a big class, and we had safety violations, so we had to
Expects the unexpected.
Yeah, exactly. So
It applies everywhere.
but and part of that's communication. So we try to pride ourselves on our communication with the supervisors to the officers. One thing that we really harp on with the supervisors is getting back to these guys in a timely manner. And sneeze? No, he's good. Gesundheit. Oh, there it is. Coop's gonna explode, dude. Let those out. Just mute yourself. Gosh, it sounded like you stepped on a puppy over there.
Thanks.
But problem-solving skills and being able to assist these officers as fast as we can is kind of what sets us apart. There's other companies, I won't say any names, but just from stories from officers that have come to the good side, told us that their communication's bad. The management and supervisors aren't supportive, and we really try to not just to say, we do, but we do it because the retention's better. Officers are gonna, perform better when they have those resources for them. So that's one thing that you can do as an officer if you're seeing this, is make sure you're reaching out and using those resources so you can get the training or get whatever you need for that given post you're at. And again, patrol's a little different, but that's why those guys are trained different. So.
Right. But I mean, when it comes to that, you can always request additional training, ask to go back through. You're going to comment, aren't you? You are. You can always ask for the additional training to get in there and get that additional help, because that's always extremely important. And when you're in an industry like ours, having that knowledge, and we'll give examples here in a little bit, but having that knowledge or having the ability to call and say, hey, how would you handle this? I
Right.
went through this recently and I think I handled it okay. Nobody said anything otherwise. My report's been approved and everything there. What would be a better way for me to handle it?
Sure.
And getting that direction and finding that out, because you can always improve. Nobody does everything perfectly.
Yep.
And so being able to look back at that and say, how can I get better?
Right.
Is important.
Yeah, we've got a few that do that quite a bit. That balance kind of scenarios, and some of them I did new hire class, or I taught the new hire class because our instructor that does it, Sparks, was on vacation, which he never takes. So I hadn't done it in a while, and I forgot that sometimes you can what if somebody to death. But also don't be afraid to ask those questions.
Well, see, and you've said that before. You can Monday night quarterback something to death.
Yeah.
When you're looking at it after the fact, you can sit there and ask every question of the book and ruin something very quickly.
Yeah.
But it's super easy to do when you're sitting here behind a desk looking at a report going, oh, well, why didn't we do this? What if this would have happened? And so keeping it realistic is something as well.
I got what if into a corner the other day.
Oh,
and I was like, buddy, like, I love that you're asking these questions, but you are getting like, he's like, well, what if it did this and the moon was in this phase? And I'm just like, you are way too.
You're in the sticks.
Yeah,
you're in the weeds here.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, just you can never train too much. Always tell yourself, what could go wrong here. And I know that's kind of a scary mindset for people to get into, but that's just what this industry is. And so I don't want to sugarcoat things and say that, it's never going to go bad. Hopefully you always want to go with a nice,
professional,
quiet shift.
Yeah.
But it's not always going to happen. So you need to be prepared for those situations, and so if you feel like you need additional resources on that, please reach out if you're one of our officers. If you're not, we'll still help with answering questions in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you guys have questions you'd like to ask them in the comments. That's what they're there for. We'd love to go through them and help you the best we can. Obviously, there's only so much we can and can't help you with. So please, one, keep it clean. Obviously,
keep it clean.
But
Connor,
that's what we're here for. We want to help. Let's do this, McFarland. Walk me through an incident you had where everything was normal.
I forgot,
and then it wasn't. It was.
So I mean, just crazy stuff can happen in the most unlikely places. I was at one of our retail grocery stores. This was when I first started, and
Where are you looking?
I'm just looking around. I look out the window. Dude, look how beautiful it is. We're in a studio instead of out in this beautiful weather. But I don't know where to look, man. This is a new spot. I'm getting used to my surroundings.
Right
Lay
here.
off me.
Right here.
I want to slouch over, and I want a cocktail, and I want to be on my deck with my dogs. Okay? Gosh, dang it.
I had to. I'm sorry.
So just, I was at a retail store. It was about 8:30, so it was getting dark. No, it was dark. And I was by one of the checkout lanes where we're standing by the entrance and exit, but I was by the exit doors. That's where people leave to steal. So I was situated in that area strategically, and someone decided to get in a gunfight about 15 feet in front of me right outside the grocery store. Obviously, it got a little hectic. People were kind of stampeding in, and so I didn't even realize it. It just all happened so fast. I had my gun drawn, and I basically took some sort of concealment or cover to the left of most grocery stores have the ice machines on the way out, the big ones that hold the big
5-pound, 15-pound bags.
20-pound bags.
Yeah.
And instinctively, that's probably pretty well insulated, and there's a good chance that bullets are coming. It would stop them,
Right.
And so I kind of took concealment there, and basically everybody that came in, I scanned them as best I could and see if any of them were running in with a firearm, and I was going to have to do what I had to do. Fortunately, one of the shooters dropped his weapon in the wheelchair, like the available wheelchairs,
right.
not the carts, but the wheelchair. And he was out of my vision when he did it. So when he came around, there was a cashier that kind of froze, but luckily she was watching. And the dust kind of settled. The other shooters got in a car, drove off. Basically, it was a carjacking happened right in front of the store. And the worst part was I couldn't see because it was all glass, and it was nighttime, so it was basically mirrors.
Reflective.
Yeah, it was all mirrors, so I didn't even see the muzzle flash or anything. I just heard, oh, I know those sounds. Those are bang-bang sounds.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah, so I kind of took concealment there, and I was just watching as people were coming in, and she spotted that guy. Well, he had kind of blended in. He was
into the
wearing
crowd,
sheep's clothing, kind of blend in with the crowd. That I had kind of all go back by the manager's area, so they were away from the doorway. And after I don't know what it felt like forever, but for just a few moments, I turned around and I was telling everybody, hey, get back. I don't know what's going on. I'd already radioed shots fired in my location.
Right.
So the cavalry was coming. And she comes up to me, and I had known her because I'd worked there for a little bit. It was my second week. But I'd known her enough, and she goes, that guy dropped a gun. And so I went over, looked, saw the weapon. I said, stand here, stay right here, don't let anybody, touch it. I went over and detained him, and he had a buddy with him. And at that point, KCKPD came in just all
guns
ready to rock
go.
and roll. And so we cleared that firearm, and everybody was okay. I'm assuming. I don't know if anybody got shot that drove off.
Right.
I didn't hear of anything, but that was just an evening at a grocery store.
Everything was normal. You were progressing through your day. Everything was good.
Yep.
And then just like that, on the unexpected, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. It got pretty pucker factor there pretty quick, but because of training and experience, I was able to kind of handle business, which is good. But yeah, I've never really told that story outside of here before, so that's kind of
it's a good story.
Feel a little naked.
No, it's a good story.
Again, there was a couple people that came up the next day and thanked me and everything, and that's what we're here to do, guys. So, unfortunately, this doesn't just happen, in bad parts of the city. This stuff happens everywhere.
Yeah.
It could be right at your front door, and unfortunately, that's the world we're progressing into. I hope it starts to take a turn for the better, but I'm not super optimistic. I think we got good job security moving forward, but people just got to be good to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, mine's not active shooter, but I have one as well where I just got hired on. I think it was my first week. I think I was like 6 days in.
Yeah.
And I was doing an apartment complex. It was my first post. And I'm doing my perimeter patrol of it's two sections of buildings. I'm on the first section, and I'm doing my perimeter patrol on just on the property side of the sidewalk. I guess I was still technically on it, but as I'm walking down, and on the properties on the left hand side, there's another apartment complex structures there, and there was a guy who just walked out of the second floor with an AK with a drum round, just racks around and stares at me.
Oh, boy.
And I just kind of stopped, and I was like, oh, okay. And something in the back of my head from training said, get to cover. And so I backed up, keeping my eyes on him. I was like, no. And so I backed up, and I got around the side of the building, radioed for help, and they said, call PD. And so I called PD and was like, hey, I've got a guy with a AK-47. He just walked out, racked it, and was staring me down.
Yeah.
He wasn't pointing it at me, but he was staring me down. So PD showed up and go to find out that he had broken into a vacant building to do that, like into a vacant apartment.
Yep.
And so it was one of those, it was like, oh, that was that pucker factor for me. I was like, oh, no. And that unexpected, just everything's doing well. I did 6 days of normal rounds, nothing gone wrong. And all of a sudden, here I am walking down the road, and second floor, and there's an AK here, and he's just like, hey, you're it, buddy. It's like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah, it can go from 0 to 100 pretty quick. The one thing that I remember that stands out as weird is how light the firearm feels when your adrenaline's pumping like that. Because when you're training, your adrenaline's not going near as much. We try to simulate stress by adding speed and things like that. But yelling and speed. But yeah, when you think there's a potential someone shooting at you, your adrenaline it's just a fight or flight response. And that's one thing I remember. Was how light it felt, because a loaded handgun's it's not
6 pounds.
It's not super light. Yeah. But yeah, I felt like I could have thrown that thing through the ceiling.
Absolutely. So. And you get that adrenaline kick and that spike, and if you're not prepared for it in that unexpected moment, everything different. The weight of everything, how you move, how you breathe.
I'm sitting there just watching the clock peel away until I got to go home, and I was like, that made the night go by a lot faster.
Oh, absolutely.
We ended up closing the store after that. So.
Oh yeah, you can get PD there. Everybody's involved.
There was like 30 cops. I've been happy to see that many cops in my life.
I had a 12 cop response. 6 cars just rolled up. It was the same thing as it was a 12-hour shift, and I was like 6 hours in. The next 6 hours were gone, just absolutely wasted. And then I was sitting at home, and I was like, wow, I'm home now. It's like, oh my goodness.
I remember like a few days after it, because where I would kind of sit at, there was the floral department too. And the lady popped a balloon, and I was like, whoa. I was like, hey.
Let's not do that.
She's like, I'm so sorry. I said, yeah, just let's get a little time in between here. It's still a little fresh. So, but yeah, man.
And you got so it's one of those things when you have those moments, it's taking that in and learning from it. And it's okay. How do we progress from this point? How do we learn from this situation? And what can I do better? And what can I keep an eye out for?
Yeah.
I was talking to the supervisor after my incident, and I was like, dude, what can I do? I was like, it's a separate property. It's not ours. It was a vacant apartment. PD Petey never found out who it was or ever caught anybody for
Yeah.
it, and I wouldn't expect him to with the description I had.
Yeah,
because it was
man with AK.
yeah. All I saw
Unfortunately, nowadays that's
all-
more frequent than you think.
all I saw was an AK sitting there.
Yeah.
My favorite question though was cop goes, "How'd you know it was an AK?" I was like, "Dude, it's an AK.
Yeah.
It's real hard to miss
Yeah,
what
I
an
probably
AK
couldn't
looks
tell
like."
if it was Russian or
Czech or
yeah. There's a few different or Chinese. There's
Yeah.
the Chinese and the Russian. I don't know anything about it. You're much more rehearsed with weapons than I am, but yeah, I know what that looks like.
yeah. So
I
that-
have one.
That was my verbiage to him. He's like, "Well, how'd you know it was an AK?" I know what an AK looks like. It's pretty widely well known.
Stupid with the drum mag. Those jam all the time.
But it was, and so it's just taking that in and like, okay, what can I look out for next time and stuff like that. So
Look how beautiful it is.
it's gorgeous outside.
There
A
goes
little windy.
Sergeant Burkhart walking by. It's one of our fantastic site supervisors.
Fantastic.
Shout out
Phenomenal.
to Sergeant Burkhart. I doubt he watches this, but yeah. So what's the weather like this weekend?
Oh, weather. We're gonna get into that. All right. So what we're looking at for this weekend, we're looking at 70 today. It's not bad. 83 on Saturday with mostly sunny. 88 on Sunday. Good day to cut your lawn.
What time's the race? Let me find out. If it's an early race, I'll cut it Saturday.
Monday we're at 84, partly cloudy. Tuesday 75 with scattered thunderstorms. Wednesday 75, partly cloudy. Thursday 61 with more rain. Friday 55 and Saturday 60
For next week. Mm-hmm. So it looks like
So we're
it's
starting
cooling-
off pretty
cool-
good.
Yeah, cooling
pretty
off
warm in the
again.
weekend. Pretty warm in the starting this weekend. Then we're cooling off pretty quick throughout the rest of the week.
2:30. I might wait till Sunday.
Yeah, you could do it Sunday. Do it Sunday mornings. That way you can sit and
I
chill
can't
with a
believe it's already
beer.
mowing season again.
You can't. It's almost pool season. You get to open that golden pool ears.
It's nothing gold. I don't think, like I said, I don't have any gold on my property.
No, but it's fun.
Maybe some of my wife's jewelry.
But it's fun to give you a hard time about
It
it.
is funny. I that chat or the AI picture of the deer with the fence
Yeah.
was It was like a really just like a, I don't know, romantic's not the right word. Just like a very, it looks cozy.
Cozy.
Yeah, like it just looked like in the morning with like really nice green grass and like a fresh rain. What was that? What?
No, it's a
Bad?
personal
Nothing
call.
good? Oh. And you get, I don't know, just that nice morning post rain, kind of almost like rainbowy, and that's what it looked like in the picture. I don't know. You have to, did we put it up for him?
No.
Brian.
You'll have to get that to us.
Brian.
Brian, you'll have to get us that picture.
We need that stat. So
But other than that, I
think that covers everything,
I think
right?
I think it covers it. We're gonna let you guys get to it. Remember, guys, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you guys are welcome to put them in the comments. We'll do what we can to answer them. That's what we're here. We want to help you guys out the best we can.
unless you're Connor.
Thank you guys so much for everything you do in the field. It allows us to continue to do stuff like that. We appreciate it so much. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. So thank you so much. And
you,
remember,
thank
of course, hydration is key. So hydrate the day before, not the day of. Other than that, guys, we'll let you get to your weekend. We appreciate it so much. Have a safe one, and we'll catch you next time.
Take care, guys.